Unfortunately for Adrian Griffin, he would lose his job 24 hours after this interview.
Played great, but I thought we showed our character and our resiliency at the end. So it's another really good road win.
There were rumblings around the Milwaukee Bucks organization about firing Adrian Griffin after their Christmas Day loss to the New York Knicks, but the question is, was he the problem? The answer is no. Coach Griffin was not the problem. He's actually just a scapegoat. A scapegoat that's supposed to mask the shortcomings of management. A management that has not built a team that is a real contender. In today's NBA, balance is very important. Milwaukee Bucks has never been an athletic team, but now they're not athletic and they are older. To be a contender, one has to have a healthy balance of veterancy and youth. If you look at most of the teams in the Western Conference, the top four, you'll see that there's a lot of veterancy in addition to a lot of youth. The Minnesota Timberwolves have Rudy Gobert and Carl Anthony Towns for their veterans, while they have Anthony Edwards leading them. And also on their bench, they have some impressive players. Same with the Denver Nuggets, who have Nikola Jokic and Aaron Gordon for their veterans, and some of the other starters are under the age of 25. Oklahoma City is the youngest team in the NBA, yet they are able to perform very well. The point I'm trying to make is a lot of these teams, especially leading in the West, have adapted to the changing game while maintaining competitiveness. Milwaukee has not done that. Both Milwaukee and Boston have pretty impressive starting lineups. But then once you go past the starting lineups, the teams really look bereft of talent. The Philadelphia 76ers, if not for the recent game where Paul Reed played against Nikola Jokic and Nikola Jokic sang his praises, one would probably walk past Paul Reed and not know who he was. The Milwaukee Bucks bench production is 23rd out of the 30 teams in the NBA. In the absence of Pat Connaughton, Bobby Portis is the lone bright spot on their bench, who is averaging 12 points and 7 rebounds on the season. Meanwhile, the top three teams in the Eastern Conference are in the bottom 10 in points per game contribution from their bench. Philadelphia being the worst, with 27 points contributed by their bench. Phoenix, Boston, and Chicago have 28 points contributed by their bench. Denver Nuggets have 30 points contributed by their bench. New York has 31. Houston, 32. Milwaukee, 32. For most teams on their way to a championship run, it's a question of next man up. From their 2021 championship team, they've lost talents like Jeru Holiday to due to a trade, PJ Tucker to free agency, Jeff Teague who retired, and most recently Grayson Allen. All players whose roles have not been easily replaced. The person affected the most by these departures is Pat Connaughton, as it's difficult to establish symbiosis and chemistry on the fly. He went from averaging 7 points per game in the championship season for Milwaukee to 10 points a game the following season, and this season currently he's averaging 5 points per game.
Doc calls out the play. It's Middleton again.
But in addition to this, the Milwaukee Bucks have been hit with a rash of injuries to key players like Pat Connaughton and Chris Middleton. The person affected the most by the absence of Chris Middleton is Brook Lopez because he has to assume the role of a three-point shooter, leaving Giannis alone in the paint.
Back into his office, right off the 1 foot with the miss. Brook the tip out to Giannis. Pump fake, draws the contact.
The absence of both men is a great loss to Milwaukee as they both contribute a shade under 30 points per game. Pat Connaughton and Chris Middleton's injuries makes it hard for a coach to game plan. Also, the Milwaukee Bucks lose almost 10 points with their drop in production. On the season, the Milwaukee Bucks average only 9.6 offensive rebounds per game, which would rank them at number 26 out of 30 teams. This is a consequence of the four out offense, where Brook Lopez is outside taking a 3 point shot, leaving just Giannis to rebound in case of a miss. It was very glaring in the game versus Portland, where the Portland Trailblazers players did an excellent job in stifling Giannis. Stifling simply means just getting in his way, really. You don't have to secure the rebound, you just have to make sure he doesn't get the rebound. Now, while the Milwaukee style of play allows slashers like Dame Lillard and Giannis to make forays at the rim, it also limits your ability to rebound on offense. So, three things I want to conclude with. The acquisition of Damian Lillard may have been costly and may have affected the team's chemistry this season, but it was a good acquisition. It was a very necessary acquisition. Dame gives you a chance to win. With their recent losses, am I worried? Absolutely not. Not even in the least. The 73-9 Golden State Warriors, their first loss was to a 10-15 Milwaukee Bucks. They were 24-1. Remember Draymond Green said this about that.
I'll give you a prime example. This one, Milwaukee wasn't nothing. We played there, we were 24-0. They had shirts made, 24-1 shirts.
Like it's the
The whole
playoffs.
crowd, and they were going crazy. And when they won that game, stopped our 24-0 streak, I think they had a bigger parade for that game than they did when they actually won a championship. That was every game.
Of all 9 losses, only 3 teams were above 500. So am I panicking about this? No. Teams that are built for the playoffs are usually susceptible to teams that have nothing to lose and teams that are motivated for them to come to town. So is this a problem? I do not think so. I really think that they're not taking advantage of Brooke Lopez in the paint. I really think they should do more high-low plays with Brooke and Giannis. This way, the defenders are collapsing a little bit more. My preseason pick for the champion was Denver, even though I felt the Boston Celtics would come out of the East. I felt Denver could beat them simply because Denver does not rely on the three-point shot as much as Boston does, and I really think Denver has pieces enough to cause problems for Boston in order for them to lose. And of course, they have no answer for Joker, and when Jamal Murray goes crazy, it's over. So anyway, those are my musings. Thank you for watching. Take care.